Okay, so now we're actually going to do the same thing, but we're going to do it using the pivot table functionality, which probably, to be honest, is if you're doing this in kind of a business spreadsheet, or you would be using pivot tables. So let's just select the table first. So select on the first item, Control Shift, down arrow, right arrow. Let's just say insert, pivot table, and we're going to stick it in the same worksheet. Okay, so let's just kind of think what we were doing. We were looking at the kind of the cost per order, and we wanted to kind of have the kind of the count. So these are the cost per order. So at the moment you notice it's kind of unbinned, and we don't actually want to sum it. We just want to count it for the moment. And you can see this is not what we're actually looking for. It's every single item. We want the bins that we had before. But if I was to just kind of go on the row labels, let's just go to the one below, right click, and then click on group. And I can actually group kind of, automatically set my bins for this. So I'm going to start at 0. And you notice here it actually plugs in. It actually does this automatically. It plugs in the minimum and the maximum. But here I'm going to go to what we did before, 0 and 130,000. And remember, we had 5 groups, so we were doing it every 26,000. And let's click OK. And then we get the frequency table that we had before. We can actually turn this into a graph. So insert bar chart, and it will automatically open up the pivot chart. And this works as long as you're select anywhere on this table and you press insert the graph, it will give you the default. We could say this is the histogram for order value. Now we could actually, at the moment, we're actually absolute, but we could actually, if we click on our values, so click on count of cost per order, then click on value field settings and show values as percentage of grand total. Okay, we can now have the data and it filters through onto the graphs as percentages. So we know that about 70% of orders were $0 to $26,000, etc., etc. So this was just how to do it kind of in a pivot table, a little bit easier, but you have a bit, if you do things manually, sometimes you have a little bit more flexibility. So again, just a simple pivot table application doing what we did before.